Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities. We're going to work through the dollar, precious metal, or yields, precious metals, and then commodities and ETFs that I follow. I'm going to give you my financial opinions across the board. And if you guys need any help with anything commodities related or precious metals related, definitely check out finding-value.com, become a platinum member, use the word discount in the coupon code. So let's dive in what we've got today. Things basically playing out the way that we thought they would, to some extent. Again, we can't read. I'm not a genie reading the future here, or whatever they're called. Not a genie, I guess, but a fortune teller or whatever. But let's look at the charts and see what signs they have in them, and I'll give you my opinions around it. So we'll start with the dollar, the DXY. Again, I still think this is going to go lower on the big term, big picture view. Definitely going to go lower. It's going to help our commodities go higher. And we can also see that the market conditions have been changing the past few weeks / month. This is the Batman pattern, so I do think the dollar is going to go lower, and the dollar went lower today. I do think we'll probably come back to this level, and we'll have to see where we go from there. If we're going to try to make a move on higher, or if it's going to break and move on lower. But right now, dollar lower, yields slightly lower. Is this ready to take off to the upside, or are we going to get an acceleration to the downside here? I'm not exactly sure. I've been neutral here. It's been getting hard to read because we've gotten mixed signals from different commodities, from different areas. I'm in the camp that this could potentially go lower, that the Fed funds rate will be paused, and eventually we'll get a rollover at some point. It doesn't mean we can't go sideways for a little while, but we've got a large selling pressure move in yields to head lower. People running to bonds. I don't know why they would be running to bonds. I mean, yeah, I guess you could have the fear, the recession, the slowdown, and all that stuff. But they've got a lot of bonds they need to issue as well, which is a counteracting force in this mix with debt releases and money that they need, which will be more bond releases in the future. 30-year yields tracking a little bit lower today with those 10-year yields. So the curve is falling a little bit. Are we going to break to the downside here, or are we going to launch higher? Why does that matter? Why do I keep talking about yields? If the yields fall, it's a different market condition than the yields rising. That means everything. It means everything. Like, that is what you need to be focusing on. Everything else is just tertiary actions. The market, this is what basically determines money flows in the market to some extent. If the markets think that this is done, it will head lower in terms of inflation. If inflation's still persistent, the market's going to price this higher. And these are the smartest guys in the world trading these things with the most information, insider information, bank information, all that stuff, determining where the pricing of this goes. Bond prices, slightly higher today. We're still in this formation that we're just moving sideways. Which way is it going to go? We'll find out. If we've got a problem in the market, I think this is going to head on higher for a little while and yields lower. TYX-TNX ratio is slightly lower, but look at how this is falling. We've got massive upside move in this, this ratio here, which is the curve on inverting. And the pullback has been pretty muted, small little candlesticks. This has the signature trait that this wants to go higher written all over it. If this goes higher, that generally correlates very well with gold moving higher. Gold higher when this goes higher. And what are we seeing? Gold is moving higher. Silver is moving higher. It's all basically weaving a picture that is congruent with each other. The 2-year yield, I do think that this is going to eventually roll over. We can see that the opening and closing prices are starting to come together, which means the buyers are equaling the sellers. Large selling pressure, so boom, hit on its head. I'm struggling to go back up. It's going to roll back over. What does that mean? It means that the short end of the curve could roll, it could come back down, and we could see the curve drop, meaning that there's maybe a problem in the system, perhaps, and people are starting to price that in. They're starting to run to GOLD, gold. CRB index, up today, 0.64. So one thing that is interesting is that commodities could also run higher, even though the market conditions may not be conducive for them compared to history? And that is where I don't have that answer. The supply side of commodities are so jacked coming up this summer and in the next year that we could see a divergence between an uninversion of the curve in commodities crashing. And that is where things get very difficult because you've got the supply side, which is very short. We're talking oil, copper, aluminum, go on and on and on. These sides are short of the supplies, but then you've got credit problems on the other side. Historically, credit drove the markets up and down, not the supply side. The supply side was much less an impact because we had a lot more supply to grow into. Now that the supply side is becoming a lot more constrained and a lot harder to grow, it's becoming more of a factor. It doesn't mean it's the only factor. So we've got a weird period between wave one. Wave one is this guy. And then wave two, the bottom of wave two. And then wave three is going to be just absolutely gigantic, guys. That wave three and the way that thing comes is because when they print money, it's going to go to the areas that need to be solved first. It's where the shortages and deficits are. And you can't print money and not have inflation and not have that money go to where the problems are in the system. The problems in the system are in commodities and they're on the supply side. And that's where I think we should be. CRB to S&P 500, it is still coming back down. When rates go down, generally the S&P 500 goes up, and it can go up at a faster rate than commodities at times. And that's what we're seeing today. But I don't think that's going to be forever. I think it will be a short blip. It may even blip down a little bit more before we run up. And this level would be a 0.618 level. And we did that yesterday. Gold heading higher. It's looking really good. I think if we can get yields to drop, if that curve to uninvert and yields were to drop a little bit more, this thing's going to be off to the races, guys. It's going to be gonzo. So again, I've been looking at a lot of the patterns, looking at a lot of the companies. I'm choosing a wide variety of companies with very low risk, with good upside potential, and I'm going after some of those mid-cap guys that I think have good potential, good risk reward opportunities. And then I'm going to swing for the fence with a few small dollars. Screw it. Why not? You only live once. YOLO. Silver up 2.5%. This is also signaling that we've got a big move that could potentially be coming because silver starts to outperform gold in this type of scenario. So silver's looking fantastic. Again, we could see a big move in silver and we could see a rocket launch given the right market conditions. And I'm telling you that those market conditions could potentially be setting up like we're seeing. And we're seeing this confluence of information between GDX, the gold and silver miners, the precious metals, and the yields all aligning for gold and silver to take a big move higher. Platinum's also firming up very well, 1.8%. This is also going to be I think, a blow your socks off return area, potential. Nice big move here. And what I see is a gigantic move, breakout, retest, and then we could see a launch eventually. I don't know where this thing's going to end up going. If I were to take a guess, I don't know, $4,000 at least. That's my guess. And it's going to go at a higher pace and further than what gold farther than what gold travels in terms of its move, and it's going to go above gold. If gold goes to $10,000 or $5,000, I don't know where it's going to go. I think platinum's going to do 2 times that. XAU to gold ratio. So if we were in a changing market condition environment, if things were changing positively for gold, we would see the gold and silver miners also start to change positively as well. The conditions that gold and silver mining companies thrive off of are conditions where gold goes higher and oil and energy inputs go lower. It's a environment where we can see a divergence between those two. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing gold go up faster than oil, or we may even see oil pull back some. Maybe. We'll see. But gold, XAU to gold ratio is heading higher, looks fantastic. GDX also putting in the work, going higher. Nice little moves. And don't forget, guys, this doesn't just go straight up. Things will get pullbacks. You're going to get those cycles, but it looks very promising at this moment. SILJ up 3.5%, looking fantastic. Go SILJ. Nice strong candlesticks all through here. Look at that, guys. Look at those candlesticks. That is the green army starting to pee all over the red army down here. It's got the go juice. It's going. I'm pretty excited about this. We're breaking out of this pattern here to the upside. There we go. Just getting the turtle head out. And when this thing gets rocketing, guys, we could see a moonshot. It goes very quick, very fast in these impulse moves higher. And I think we're going to see a big impulse move higher at some point in the future here, which could be underway. Crude oil up 2%, which is pretty good. This does look like it wants to go higher. It does look very good for a potential move on up. But I'm going to give you something that doesn't look as good. A reasoning of crude oil and maybe some of the exploration production companies. What you want to see is we saw gold go up 0.91% here, but the companies went up 1.5% and SILJ went up 3.5%. Big kind of an outperformance. Crude oil was up, natural gas was down a little bit, 3.5%, but we saw XOP, yeah, you know me, down 0.09%. What the heck's going on there? Why is it down 0.09% if oil's up almost 2%? We've got good moves here, but maybe those market conditions are changing and maybe gold is starting to take money from this sector. So I really want to see what happens over the next week or two for XOP. We've got this trend line. We've broken it to the downside. And is this a return move where we could get launched to the downside? I think that's a possibility. So there could be more downside in oil in the short term for whatever reason or event that comes ahead of us. I don't know those reasons yet. But the positioning in the markets and the interest rates and yields, it's saying something like that could happen. It doesn't mean it will happen. It's saying it could happen. I'm not getting rid of my shares. I'm just kind of holding on to my shares and riding it. But I'm obviously juicing the other portions that look good. OIH is also getting a bearish engulfing that looks like we could head lower in the short term, although we had a 2% update in crude oil. That is something to take note. Weakness in strength of the commodity itself. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, it was up today, a little wick at the top. Again, this might trade with the energy trade. I don't know exactly. We'll have to see what these next weeks bring us. But yeah, it had a good day today. URNM also finishing very strong today. Nice big green army showing up. We need that to continue. Remember, we had a lot of selling pressure over here. What we don't want to see is we don't want to see us come up here, hit our head, and then roll back over. That just means that we had a little impulse move, kind of a move before a rollover. and I don't know which way this is going to go. We're going to have to watch, see what's going on in the short term. And again, I'm not playing this short term. I'm riding the companies I have in it. I'm just going to ride it. TAN up 2%. We're still in the pattern, squeezing. COPX. Now, copper's got some serious shortages coming. And I think it knows it. Look at this. It's like, yeah, I know it, dude. We're going higher here. I was like, all right. I see what you're saying. We might be kind of breaking out of this. I don't know. I see some sort of kind of pattern that looks like that we could break out of. So I do think this could potentially punch through, move on higher. It looks very good for copper here for a move on higher. Lithium, right at that resistance level. We'll see if we can break through that. We've got REMX that's also getting close to that resistance level. We got to punch through it. I don't think that these are going to punch through. I mean, they may punch through it, but I don't think they're going to outperform some other sectors. Given the certain market conditions, and maybe I'm wrong on those market conditions. Maybe interest rates are going to continue higher. Maybe it was just a short-term scare in the banking sector. But those yields sold off pretty hard. So every time it does that, that generally means that you're going to come up and you're going to roll over. And I think that's going to happen with a lot of these sectors. And I think gold's not the one that's going to roll over. I think it's going to roll on up. SPX, the SP 500, it's up today. Yeah, kind of indifferent on the pattern here, but it's up. We've got NASDAQ up. Again, indifferent on the pattern. We'll see how sustainable this move is. I'm not saying that this is going to just roll on higher. I want to see where it goes from here. Emerging markets up 1%. That weaker dollar is helping it move on up. I still like emerging markets in this general area. Still looks good. XHB, the home builders, right at this resistance level, right at the trend line level, I should say. It's right on it. Moo is still coming on up, but I still think this is going to eventually work its way lower once it hits this trend line, or if it gets that far up. We had lots of selling pressure. Boom, 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 boom. And now it's struggling to come back up. You can see all the small candlestick days. So the force is definitely to the downside, momentum. And this is struggling to come back up. So I think it's going to roll over and head lower eventually. Copper heading higher, breaking to the upside, looking fantastic. Go copper. Lots of shortages, low inventory, making sense there. Lumber pulling all the way back. We'll see which way this thing goes. We're at support of this long-term support level. It goes all the way back to the mid-90s. Iron ore heading a little bit lower. We could come up. We could pull back here. This is a big pattern there. It's a falling wedge that we've broken to the upside, but it could also do a retest before heading higher. So that's a possibility. Nickel also heading a little bit lower today, but not looking too bad. Aluminum slightly higher. It's looking all right. I would just hold on. Baltic Dry Index trying to get a little bit of stability, but I still think it's going to pull back a little bit before heading higher. Newcastle Coal sideways. It's trying to put in a base. Just wait for it to base out before getting too brave. We don't have to be Braveheart here, guys. We don't need heroes. Ethereum moving sideways. Looking all right. Just moving on sideways there. And Bitcoin also moving sideways. It's slightly lower. It could be a bloody nose or something like that. On the dailies. But inverted head and shoulders. It's probably going to work its way on higher. Grind on up. That's what I've got for today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the content. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Check out the website, finding-value.com. We have platinum members question and answer session at 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. We've got that this weekend. And remember, that flip-flops between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. 5 p.m. Sundays, 7 a.m. Saturdays. And I do that because I've got not just one person or people from America. It's from everywhere in the world. And that's just where I set it up. And hopefully I can capture the most amount of people and appease the majority. Yeah, so that's all I've got for today, guys. We'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.